how that changes? Every note, single notes without a chord underneath them or a bass note can be a lot of different things.
Today's lesson, I want to look at Guthrie Trapp's recent video that he did called Pentatonics with Soul. And this is a really cool video, and he's quite clear with his instruction in this, but I'm going to take it apart a little bit more detailed because there are a few things that he brushes over. So he's in the key of G. So we can think of a couple of chord shapes for this. We've got G major, E form, and then our C form for G major, and our G major pentatonic run, which I will go over in more detail. Let's watch the first lick and then I'll break it down.
So if I do this out of G,
so he's going from, he's coming out of this G major pentatonic. We're going from 7 to 9 on the G, and then our ring finger, middle finger sorry, is grabbing the root on the B string on the 8th fret. So that's the root of G. And then we're going to come back up on the G string and go 9, 7. Then slide on the D with our ring finger, 9 to 7. And then we're going to play the back to the root on the 5th fret of the D string. And this lick, you can think of your C form bar chord for G. But if you take your pinky away and we just play this triad on the D, G and B strings, we've got 3rd, 9th fret of the D string with our ring finger. We've got the 5th of the chord on the G string, 7th fret with our 1st finger. And then we've got our root, middle finger on the 8th fret of the B string. So he starts on the 5 of that. Hammers in, and then plays the root. And grabs that 3rd, and then plays the root that's coming out of this form right there with your pinky. So major pentatonic run, I'm going to go over this really slow. 3rd fret low E, slide in 3rd fret to 5th, sorry 5th fret to 7th, that takes you up to the major 3rd, and then we're going to go 5, 7 on the A string, and then we grab the 5th fret of the D with our 1st finger, so we're back to the root, and then we slide up again, same move. That takes us to the major 3rd, so we're going 7, 9 on the D. Then we go 7, 9 on the G, which is where we started the lick. And we can finish it there with the root of G, B string, 8th fret with our middle finger. So it's important that you're using the same, your hand position is the same. Could carry this on, same kind of thing. So that lick again, let's go back to the beginning. Our first lick.
So if I do this out of G,
so he hits the root twice in each of the spots. Going from root 5, root out of this chord shape, and then we're finishing on this root, which is right out of that chord. Next lick.
I'm going, from the 5 back down to the 1. If I start on the 5 here.
So that's cool. So now same major pentatonic run, but he's starting on the 5, which means there's your G major chord shape. The 5 is the 5th fret of the A string, D. Now he comes in, without coming in from here, we go. 5, hammering into the 7th, and then we go 5, 7 on the D, so we've got root again, and then that slides into the major third of the chord. So again, we're hitting chord tones, sliding right into that major third. But what he does, when he comes into that third, he goes back to the 5th, and then he rocks back to that major third. So again, you're playing straight out of this triad shape with the same fingers you would use for that triad.
Slide up to the 3.
Really melodic, hitting that third. You've got to know where these chord tones are.
Keep adding a note to it. But you wouldn't stop there.
Now he's saying he did this now. He lands on this E note. And he said you wouldn't land there. Now if you look at a G major, E isn't in that chord. It's in your major pentatonic, but it's not in that chord.
You know, that's not going to work unless you go.
So he's saying here now, he hits the low E.
If you're going to E minor, that would...
So E minor is a chord in the key. So if you've got a progression G, D, E minor, back to C maybe, and the part of the progression you go to the E chord, it would work over E minor. So it wouldn't work on the G. So you've got to learn the different functions these notes have, because when you're on a different chord, it does something completely different.
It would work if you're going to C.
So it works perfectly if you were going to the 4 chord. Because if you look at your C major chord, E form bar chord off the 8th fret, that E note is the major third of C major. So over the 4 chord C, it would work beautifully. Back to G. C.
See how that changes every note? Single notes without a chord underneath them or a bass note can be a lot of different things. So again, if I'm starting on the, say I'm starting on the low G.
So there he's just running up the major pentatonic like I did earlier. He runs it further up.
Okay, well, that's 3 things, 3 of the same things 3 times. I'm just starting, I'm playing the same line. Then G, up to G, same thing.
So it's the same thing repeated. You've got root, root to root. Exactly the same thing. First finger's on this root, root to root. But remember now you've got the B string, so this note moves up one, so you've got to switch fingers. Exactly the same. and then it comes back up.
I'm just trying to use a little bit more soul than just running through the pattern, and so that's where that comes in. Okay, now
so that's the major stuff. He goes into a bunch of minor stuff, which I'm going to do a separate video for. So again, if you learn that major pentatonic run, all the chord tones are in there for your 1, your 4, for your 5. So you got the 1, there's your 4 chord, there's your 5 chord, because that's the major third there of the 5. Wrong note there. Back to the 4. Back to the 1 chord. And you could do, it's a good way to map this out is, say if you took that progression I did before, which is a 1 to the 5, which is D, so it's G, D, E minor, so it's a 6, to the 4 to C, back to the 1, and that's it. If you watch the Axis of Awesome, it's the same progression. It's millions of songs, and if you just play, like for example, if I start G with this G root and I go major third at this triad, third turn root, and then this finger goes to the major third of D. There's my D root. And then I want E minor, this just comes back, and there's my root for E minor. And I can leave it there for the 4 chord because it's the 5 of C. So all I've done is targeted chord tones for that progression, just using these 2 notes. I've just put roots above them and you can hear it. So we've got G, sorry, and then we want D. So if you watch this note, let's just move 1, then E minor, it just moves back, and then we want the 5 of the 4 chord, same note, G, D, E minor, C, then you're getting into like John Frusciante land. Anyway, have some fun with that. Any questions, please just stick it in the comments below, and I'll touch on the minor part of this video perhaps tomorrow or the day after.